Marvel Rivals has a lot of lore and backstory, so I am here to catch you up on all of it so you can keep playing the game. This has been a lot of reading and a lot of work to put together, so if you appreciate the time that I am saving you, my rivals, please like this video right now, as well as leaving a comment telling me who your favorite X-Men is. If you want to go even further, super thanks are available. If you want to go even further than that, as well as get some perks such as early videos, consider becoming a YouTube channel member. And all of this talking probably has you wondering if it is time I'll start telling you the story. Not just yet. One more thing, because we just released our Thunderbolts review. If you're interested, go watch that after this. If you're not interested, then I bring you good news, because it is about that time. Doctor Doom visits Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, seeking forbidden knowledge to manipulate time itself. Doom requests access to the Darkhold, an evil magical book, and he wants it specifically for the vampiric verses, which he believes can help Doctor Doom bend time like Dracula once did. Doctor Strange, of course, refuses this, knowing the Darkhold's corruptive power, leading Doctor Doom to then attack with dark magic. A battle of sorcery ensues, with Doctor Strange using powerful mystical attacks like the Crimson Thorns of Yggdrasil to restrain Doom. Knowing that he was beat, Doctor Doom surrenders, as Doctor Strange releases Doom, trusting his word that he had surrendered and he will leave peacefully. But Doctor Doom vows that he will find one way or another to conquer time. And before departing, Doom warns Doctor Strange of an impending great evil that will engulf the city in darkness. To keep the Darkhold safe, Doctor Strange then banishes it to a hidden corner of the astral plane, just beyond Doom's reach. And months later, Doctor Strange senses a massive disturbance in time and space itself, seemingly originating from the nation of Latveria. The disturbance tears through dimensions, including the astral plane, and heads straight for Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. Strange only has a moment to act, knowing this decision could determine the fate of countless universes. The God of the Moon, Khonshu, abruptly summons Mark Spector, the Moon Knight, mid-battle, pulling him into the divine space for an urgent mission. But before they talk for too long, Doctor Doom arrives unexpectedly in this divine space. How did he get here? Khonshu nor Moon Knight know, but Doctor Doom is here seeking Khonshu's help in shrouding a city in eternal night to study the vampiric verses and manipulate time. Khonshu orders Moon Knight to get Doom out of this space, so Moon Knight battles Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom overpowers him using the daggers of Dormammu, forcing Khonshu to intervene. Doctor Doom then reveals that the vampires originated from an ancient Darkhold curse, and he believes their magic holds the key to controlling time. Doom proposes using Khonshu's power to trap the city of New York in permanent darkness, making it a vampire breeding ground for his experiments. Khonshu refuses, warning of an even greater coming darkness that could threaten gods and mortals alike. Khonshu then banishes Doctor Doom from the divine space, but Doom vows to find another way to achieve his goal. With Doctor Doom now gone, Khonshu now seeks the Montesi formula, a spell in the Darkhold that could erase all vampires permanently. Moon Knight is then tasked with protecting New York City while preparing for the inevitable war against the vampire hordes. As Moon Knight returns to New York City, Moon Knight swings into action, knowing that his white costume will not stay clean for long, with his battle shortly ahead. The first gallery card is Let There Be Rivals, which is a passage written by Doctor Doom 2099. Now, Doctor Doom says he tried to control time itself, viewing it as the last true shackle on humanity's path to godhood. He says he forged a cage for time, reshaping reality and history like building blocks. However, despite his power, Doom was ultimately outwitted by time itself, which reshaped itself and resisted Doom's control. Now, there are multiple versions of Doctor Doom. This one in 2099 and another one that he mentions. And he's very critical of this other one. Says he's more reckless, one from a distant past, a distant reality. And now the timeline has been catastrophically damaged by both of the Dooms doing their time experiments. Their meddling triggered a chrono catastrophe, which has sent a wave of destructive energy tearing across the entirety of the multiverse. And the multiverse is now split into chronoverses, which are fractured timelines where some realities collapse, merge, or just flat out vanish. Now, Doctor Doom 2099, he is feeling superior and bitter as he sees himself as the one who must now manage the consequences of the catastrophe. He has no respect for the version of Doctor Doom that's in the past. Surprisingly though, Doctor Doom, a man of action, he chooses a different path. Instead of acting directly as he usually does, Doctor Doom plans to manipulate heroes across dimensions to fix the multiverse for him, because this man sees them as useful pawns for his grander plan to take over the multiverse. Next up, we got your biggest rival, which is coming from the perspective of Galacta. Now, she starts off by saying that the voice you hear while you're playing the game is her, Galacta, daughter of Galactus, as she's acting as a narrator, as a fan, as an occasional cheerleader. Now, Galacta, of course, has inherited Galactus's cosmic hunger, but instead of eating inhabited worlds, she tries to control her cravings by eating cosmic constructs, which brings her to her new favorite snack, Chronovium. It's a crystal made out of pure chrono energy generated by the Timestream Entanglement, which is a multiversal crisis that is threatening to collapse all realities. With this threat, Galacta has preserved a handful of timelines, which serves as maintaining a steady chronovium supply and delay the total collapse of the multiverse itself. Now, as all of this is unfolding, her role is more passive. She's watching these events rather than directly interfering, at least for now. For now, the heroes and villains across the multiverse are fighting over how to fix reality themselves, each with their own different ideas, causing major conflicts across timelines. Galacta is watching all of this unfold like her own personal drama-filled TV show, snacking on chronovium like popcorn, having a great time with a dinner and a show. Wanda Maximoff, the sorceress supreme of her universe, maintains the delicate balance of reality, preventing it from collapsing due to magical conflicts. She is contacted by an astral projection of Dr. Stephen Strange from another reality, who is trapped due to the time stream entanglement. Strange warns Wanda of Dracula's rising power, revealing that he has performed a blood ritual to imprison New York City in eternal night. Dracula seeks to use the Darkhold's forbidden spells to make vampires immune to sunlight, turning all humanity into their prey. Doctor Strange introduces Wanda to a mysterious material called chronovium, which is a side effect of Victor Von Doom's time experiments. Wanda realizes she has been too focused on maintaining her reality's stability and decides to take a more active role in the battle. The Darkhold is currently in the hands of Khonshu, the Egyptian moon god, who plans to use a powerful spell to wipe out all vampires permanently. Doctor Strange plans to challenge Khonshu to a game of chess to win back the Darkhold, as the God of the Moon is known to enjoy games of skill. So the Scarlet Witch agrees to help Strange return to his reality if he retrieves the Darkhold. But secretly, Wanda desires to master its power for herself. So, if Strange refuses to share its secrets once they get the Darkhold, Wanda is willing to unleash her own chaos to restore order to her universe at any cost. Dracula has trapped New York City in eternal night, unleashing his vampire army on its citizens. Cloak and Dagger fight to protect the city, but things have changed for them. Because during a cosmic event known as the Timestream Entanglement, Cloak and Dagger were caught mid-teleportation, causing their bodies to merge into one physical unit, meaning only one of them can physically exist at any given time. The Fantastic Four's Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, confirms their molecular fusion, as he explains that they are entangled at a subatomic level, allowing only one of them to manifest while the other remains simply a voice in their partner's head. Cloak notices Dagger becoming more ruthless as the time goes on, while he is growing more merciful, reversing their usual roles. Meanwhile, Reed Richards and the Iron Man Tony Stark argue over how to handle the vampire crisis in New York City. Reed Richards develops a prototype version of the Timestream reintegration device that may restore Cloak and Dagger to separate bodies, but the process is risky and untested. So Reed gives them a warning, and Dagger completely ignores Cloak's hesitation and forces the experiment to go through, successfully restoring their separate forms. But Reed warns that their energy signals are still connected, meaning teleportation could re-entangle them. So, leaving the Fantastic Four's Baxter building, Cloak and Dagger head into a battle against vampires on a ferry. But on that ferry, a trap has separated them, leaving Dagger outnumbered with no escape. Cloak chooses to teleport to save her on the ferry, knowing it would cause them to merge once again, but he refuses to let Dagger die. Cloak successfully rescues Dagger and the civilians on the ferry, but just as they feared, they are now re-entangled. Dagger is once again trapped inside Cloak, only able to communicate through his mind. Despite the setback, Cloak promises to lead Dagger through the darkness as she has always guided him back to the light, proving that even though they are at odds right now, they are still a team. The leader of both Krakoa and Arakko, Storm, is caught in a sudden cosmic disturbance while walking along Arakko's shores on Mars. A massive time storm erupts, distorting reality, causing Krakoa and Arakko to overlap and merge, and nearly becoming one entity, risking destruction of both. The storm accelerates time chaotically, making plants grow and decay instantly, while unknown crystals rain down, disturbing space and time. Storm instinctively realizes she can control the storm, not through weather manipulation, but by guiding the flow of time itself like an experienced ship captain. She prevents Krakoa and Arakko from permanently fusing, helping them separate before the storm fully subsides. As the time storm ends, Storm finds herself mysteriously transported from Arakko to Krakoa without using the gateway that is needed to go into Krakoa. So she begins to question this, whether this is the same reality that she left. She begins to wonder if this timeline has shifted and if her loved ones and allies are still the same ones. The mysterious time-infused crystals remain, which she gathers to investigate, believing Charles Xavier and Magneto must be warned immediately. As she looks around, Storm sees unfamiliar faces among Krakoa's survivors, realizing the storm may have pulled people from different times or realities themselves. Despite the uncertainty, she resolves to lead and protect her people, whether they are from her past, her present, or her future. Bruce Banner develops the Gamma Belt, a device that is designed to control his Hulk transformations and potentially regulate his power. He tests the belt in his lab, activating it to trigger a controlled transformation into the Hulk, hoping it will allow for stability and measured strength. Now, once he is transformed into the Hulk performs some strength tests, including a thunderclap that accidentally causes a massive shockwave, collapsing a canyon wall and nearly burying himself. The Gamma Belt protects the Hulk by generating a force field, preventing debris from touching him, something that Banner had not yet anticipated. The Hulk realizes the belt refuels itself as he exerts power, creating a feedback loop that keeps increasing his gamma levels, making him even stronger. Embracing this newfound power, the Hulk deliberately pushes the belt further, leaping and smashing a car mid-air and absorbing more gamma energy. Now, Bruce Banner's consciousness warns Hulk that it's too much gamma buildup, and if they keep going, it could have catastrophic consequences. But the Hulk simply ignores puny Banner. The Hulk, reveling in his new strength, destroys the lab in a frenzy, smashing equipment and causing structural collapse to prove his dominance over Bruce Banner. Now, a stray fragment damages the gamma belt, instantly reverting Hulk back into Bruce, leaving him surrounded by all of the wreckage. Though shaken by the destruction, Bruce Banner is intrigued by the experiment's results and vows to continue refining his work, realizing there is so much more to learn about this gamma belt. Hela, the Queen of Hell herself, senses the shattering of realities caused by the Timestream entanglement, and she seeks to exploit the disruption for her own power. She learns of an element named Chronovium, a material formed from temporal disturbances, and gathers samples from across different realms. Each one of them are slightly different in nature. A lost soul in Hell reveals knowledge of Celestials and their vast power, fueling Hela's ambition to claim them for herself and expand her dominion beyond Asgard and the 10 realms itself. Suddenly, a symbiote emissary arrives in Hell, sent by the King in Black, Knull, the ancient god of darkness, as he is demanding a celestial soul that has entered Hela's realm. Hela refuses to surrender the Celestial, asserting her rule over Hell and threatening Knull with eternal servitude should he challenge her. After listening and realizing that Knull is currently in prison, she deduces that Hell can now reach his realm, Clintar, potentially allowing her to invade it directly. She begins experimenting with Hell-infused Chronovium, seeking to expand her dominion not just through space, but through all of time itself. Hela's goal is to make Hell a force that absorbs all souls, past and future, ensuring that even beings from different timelines will be bound to her rule. She anticipates Knull's retaliation, but she welcomes it, knowing that any who enter Hell, god or mortal, will ultimately belong to her. With her growing power over time itself, Hela commands the Chronovium to reveal the future, as she already claims dominion over the past. The god of mischief, Loki, discovers that Yggdrasil's sap now holds a new temporal magic, a result of the Timestream entanglement, and begins experimenting with it. Using the sap's magic, he peers into multiple future versions of Asgard, seeing endless versions of the realm in ruin, except for a single one, where Loki rules as king. Determined to bring this future to pass, Loki plots to seize the throne of Asgard, planning to place his father, Odin, into Odin's sleep and manipulate his brother Thor into exile. With this plan, Loki knows that he needs allies, so he seeks out Karnilla, the Queen of the Norns, to ensure fate remains in his favor. Additionally, Loki also approaches his sister, Hela, believing her vast allegiance will help secure the throne, though he knows that she will demand something in return. So, Loki arrives in Hell unannounced to annoy Hela, as he presents his case to her, but she is skeptical, recognizing that all of his plans ultimately serve his own ambition. And this is where Loki reveals the secret of Yggdrasil's sap, demonstrating its ability to glimpse into the future and offering Hela a vision of her own destiny. Hela sees something within the vision that intrigues her, prompting her to agree to an alliance, but only and only if Loki helps her achieve her own goals with Chronovium. Loki agrees, though he fully intends to betray her later, yet he cannot be sure whether this particular deception will ultimately prove true or false. With Hela's forces potentially at his disposal, Loki's schemes for the throne of Asgard advance, but the true consequences of meddling with time will remain uncertain. The god of thunder, Thor Odinson, is currently imprisoned in the Tower of Solitude by his brother Loki, who has usurped the throne of Asgard through deception and powerful new magic. Thor's magical hammer Mjolnir smashes through the tower's walls, freeing Thor from this prison, who immediately flies to confront Loki and reclaim Asgard. Thor discovers Loki harvesting Yggdrasil's sap, rich in a new element called Cranovium, using its power to enhance his magic and possibly forge powerful weapons. Thor and Loki clash on the palace plaza, but Loki reveals that he has anticipated Thor's escape and has already allied with their sister. And that's when Hela arrives with an army of the dead infused with Cranovium, overwhelming Thor as Loki watches smugly. Despite his best efforts, Thor cannot hold off the endless legions, and Hela ultimately restrains him with a powerful spell. Loki declares that Asgard is now his, claiming that Odin has abandoned it and that he alone can reshape the fractured realms. Meanwhile, Hela, revealing her own ambitions, casts Thor into an unknown realm, ensuring that he cannot interfere with either of their plans. Thor then crash lands in a mysterious red-hued desert on Midgard, only to be immediately attacked by a gamma-infused, even stronger version of the Hulk, wearing some strange belt. Thor eventually disables Hulk's power-enhancing belt, reverting him back to Bruce Banner, who is shocked to see Thor and reveals that people have been searching for Thor for a long, long time. Thor, however, only cares about one thing right now: getting back to Asgard, and he needs Bruce Banner's help. Next up, we have family affairs being told from the perspective of the Asgardian messenger Squirrel, known as Ratatoskar. Now, Ratatoskar is writing a letter warning of chaos spreading through Yggdrasil and the 10 realms. Odin has fallen into a deep slumber, leaving Loki to seize the throne of Asgard and reshape it in his image. Now, a cosmic chronal surge disrupted time and space, mutating Yggdrasil and Asgard into a merged realm called Isgard, a fusion of the ancient and the new. Loki seeks to drain Yggdrasil's sap, which now contains raw, temporal power, likely to manipulate time for his own gain. Meanwhile, Hela, the Queen of the Dead, allied with Loki in exchange for expanding her dominion into the land of the living, but her true goals may be far more sinister than that. With Hela's aid, Loki banished Thor Odinson to a distant dimension, leaving Asgard defenseless and under their control. Ratatoskar calls on others to rise up and reclaim Isgard before Loki's actions doom all 10 realms, and possibly all reality. Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, infiltrates Alchemax's Tokyo headquarters in the year 2099, searching for a classified Mercury-level asset. Black Widow expertly navigates the building's high-tech security, including laser traps and elite guards, in order to reach a heavily restricted underground vault. Inside this vault, she discovers encrypted files referencing an old super soldier serum, as well as Krakoan flowers and surveillance photos of herself and Nick Fury. At the center of the room, she finds a massive, frozen crystal containing a mysterious human figure, the asset she is here searching for. Initiating the thawing process on this crystal, she is absolutely stunned as she sees a man in red, white, and blue emerge. It is Captain America, Steve Rogers, frozen since World War II. A disoriented Captain America immediately wakes up and asks about the Red Skull, only to learn from Natasha that the Red Skull has been dead for over 50 years. Before both of them can process the situation, the Public Eye security force stormed the chamber, forcing Natasha and Cap to fight their way out. As they reach the building's lobby, they are confronted by a massive Public Eye mech, which Cap takes down using a piece of its armor as a makeshift shield. However, the mech activates a self-destruct sequence, causing a massive explosion. Cap shields Natasha from the blast, but vanishes in the aftermath. The Black Widow escapes into the night, her mission incomplete, but for the first time in decades, Natasha feels something unexpected. She feels hope. The X-Men, known as the Wolverine, shares his recent adventures over a drink at Krakoa's Green Lagoon bar, reflecting on the chaos caused by the Timestream Entanglement. Krakoa was displaced to the year 2099, where Magneto has transformed it into a sanctuary for displaced mutants, though tensions remain over Logan's work with human resistance fighters. The Wolverine recounts how he searched for the Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, in Tokyo, only to find Captain America, Steve Rogers, freshly thawed from a mysterious Alchemax lab under attack by Doombots, created by, of course, Doctor Doom. Wolverine and Captain America fought side by side, taking down the Doombots, but Logan realized hiding Cap on Krakoa could put all mutants in danger. So, with the goal of keeping Captain America safe, he then brings Cap to a resistant safe house, as the Wolverine then used Krakoan medicinal flowers to help Captain America recover from his long stasis and battle injuries. Steve Rogers, then eager to fight alongside Wolverine against tyranny once more, offered to join the resistance, but Logan warned that his presence would draw too much attention to what they are doing. Instead, Wolverine devised a plan to send Captain America to the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, where the Black Panther, King T'Challa, has been seeking allies against an ominous coming threat across the universe. So then, using a chemio bead gifted to the Resistance, Logan led Captain America to a Wakandan embassy in Tokyo, where a portal then opened to Wakanda's empire. Captain America then saluted over to the Wolverine as the portal closes as he steps through, disappearing into the unknown future, leaving Wolverine to resume his search for the Black Widow. Now, as Logan finished his drink here on this bar, Magneto reflects on the story he had just heard and reflects on the growing list of potential allies in this new era, considering a partnership with humans, while Logan knows that his next mission is just beginning. In the year 2099, the Yoshida Corporation prepares to sell high-tech weapons to a rising New York crime syndicate called the Castiglions. Now, their representative, Johnny Tower, turns out to be Frank Castle, the legendary Punisher, and kills Shuri Yoshida on the spot. The rest of the Yoshida guards unload their weapons into Castle, but he survives, revealing his iconic white skull symbol underneath his tattered shirt. Before Frank Castle can finish off the remaining Yoshida forces, though, Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, intervenes, demanding he let them go. The Punisher is shocked to see that Natasha is still alive after more than a century, and the two realize they both have undergone anti-aging treatments. Natasha reveals that she recently freed Captain America Steve Rogers from a secret Alchemax facility, but since then they were separated. Captain America has vanished. Now, their conversation about this is cut short as the Public Eye has soldiers storm the warehouse, forcing them to fight side by side. Now, the Punisher, known for his lethal methods, surprisingly holds back and uses non-lethal force at Natasha's insistence. And then after the fight, Castle realizes that Natasha had lured the Public Eye there on purpose to test his loyalty, and this puts a strain on their already fragile trust between one another. However, Despite their differences, Frank Castle agrees that if they want to find Captain America and take down Doctor Doom, they will need to start trusting each other. Next up, we have Hydra's Hymn, which is told through a conversation between two Hydra agents. Now, this story takes place at the Chitaris base, which is a top secret Hydra facility hidden inside a mountain in Antarctica, considered one of Hydra's most important operation centers. The base is involved in both super soldier experiments and occult operations, blending science and mysticism. The Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, was captured and brought to the base, supposedly for reconditioning and stasis. Before that could happen though, Hydra's mysterious occult ops division claimed him, a faction within Hydra that mixes cosmic horror and mystic rites. Occult ops is attempting to open a portal to Maveth, which is a dead planet on the far side of the universe. They believe unlocking this gateway is the key to Hydra's ultimate ascension. Now, the Winter Soldier is believed to be a potential conduit for assessing Maveth, possibly because of his path or unique physiology. Whichever it is, they want Bucky Barnes. Hydra's priests chant an alien hymn, a ritual believed to grant access to ancient, otherworldly forces beyond human comprehension. One of these agents having this conversation is skeptical, insisting Hydra's strength lies in science, while the other agent is increasingly convinced that the supernatural is real and powerful. Hawkeye, real name Clint Barton, is assigned a solo mission to infiltrate a Hydra base in Antarctica's Ross Island to rescue the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. Now, Agent 13 pilots a Quinjet and briefs Clint on the mission, revealing that Bucky infiltrated the base 3 days ago, but he lost communication after just 8 hours. The base is built on ancient ruins beneath the Iberus ice shelf, and Hydra is conducting both super soldier research and occult experiments. Clint Barton begins to reflect on his time as Ronin in the past, acknowledging that while he once walked a darker path, he needs to be Hawkeye again, and he needs to stay grounded. He prepares for the mission, selecting a mix of explosive, bladed, and non-lethal arrows, as well as his twin swords. Agent 13 then warns Clint that if Bucky is beyond saving, Hawkeye's priority should be to retrieve intel and escape. As the Quinjet nears the drop zone, Hawkeye pushes aside his doubts, determined to bring Bucky home. Now, a vehicle will be waiting for him at the landing site, but the safest approach is through the upper levels of the base. Despite intel recommending he avoid the lower levels, Clint and Barton suspect there may be supernatural threats hidden below. With the cargo door open, Hawkeye takes a deep breath, steadies himself, and jumps into the Antarctic night, ready to face whatever awaits him. The entire world mourns the reported death of Captain America, while Hydra agents stationed at an Antarctic base discuss their secret experiments and the Timestream entanglement. Suddenly, Hawkeye infiltrates the base, eliminating the Hydra guards and navigating the underground facility to locate the captive Winter Soldier. He finds Bucky in a containment tank labeled Canary, but is attacked by a monstrous Hydra super soldier before he could free Bucky. As Hawkeye struggles, Bucky awakens, revealing a shocking transformation. His cybernetic arm has been replaced with eldritch tentacles. With his new monstrous limb, Bucky kills the Hydra soldier and escapes the tank, but he insists on completing a mission before leaving. Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier descend deeper into the facility, discovering an ancient chamber with a massive portal. Hydra has been trying to summon something from the great beyond. Bucky connects his tentacles to the altar, triggering a surge of power, but realizing he must sever his corrupted arm in order to stop the ritual. At Bucky's command, Hawkeye cuts off the tentacle limb, causing a massive shock wave that collapses the chamber and shuts the portal. As all hope seems lost, the portal reactivates, with Captain America, Steve Rogers, emerging, deflecting debris with his shield and rescuing Hawkeye and Bucky. Cap then explains that he is from another timeline and has brought them to Wakanda's intergalactic empire, where Bucky receives a new cybernetic arm before Cap asks him for a favor in return. Captain America, Steve Rogers, a man displaced in both time and space, finds himself in a futuristic intergalactic empire of Wakanda. As he reflects on how much the world has changed, he reunites with Hawkeye and watches over the injured Bucky Barnes, unsure of how much of his old friend remains after Hydra's latest experiments. Captain America recounts his past, how he was frozen, thawed out in 2099 by Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, in an Alchemax lab, and later aided by Logan, the Wolverine, to escape to Wakanda. Now, the Black Panther, King T'Challa, and his sister Shuri welcome Steve into Wakanda, revealing the Timestream entanglement's effects on reality, and also asking Captain America to gather elite warriors for an impending war. Steve chose Bucky as his first recruit, unknowingly saving both him and Hawkeye from certain deaths inside Hydra's collapsing Antarctic base. Now, as Steve and Clint discuss their next steps, Bucky suddenly wakes up in agony, his new cybernetic arm mutating again as dark forces whisper inside of his mind. Possessed by an unknown eldritch force, Bucky attacks, forcing Steve and Clint to lure him into an open space for a safer confrontation. Now, Princess Shuri devises a way to reset Bucky's corrupted arm, using Hawkeye's perfect aim to land a chemio bead arrow on a precise point on his cybernetic limb. The shot is successful. Bucky collapses, freed from the dark force's control, though the princess suggests more tests to understand what happened to him. With his allies by his side, Steve Rogers, Captain America, finally feels a sense of belonging in this strange new world, ready to face the battles ahead together. Next up is Of Gods and Guardians, which is basically just a private log for Princess Shuri. And Shuri privately confesses that she has lost all faith in the Wakandan gods, especially Bast, the Panther goddess. Wakanda's intergalactic empire is in crisis currently, as their deities remain silent despite fervent prayers from their people. T'Challa, Shuri's brother and king of Wakanda, continues desperately reaching out to Bast without success, unaware that the goddess has spoken directly to Shuri, but in a disturbing way. In Shuri's visions, Bast's voice is sinister and corrupted, prompting fears that she may manipulate T'Challa's loyalty to unleash darkness upon Wakanda. Shuri's suspicion is considered blasphemous and dangerous, thus, she keeps these revelations secret and cautious. Alongside the crisis of faith that Shuri is having, she investigates the cosmic mystery of the Timestream entanglement and chronovibranium, which is a vibranium-infused version of chronovium. Upon learning of this darkness and such, Shuri asks the Guardians of the Galaxy to investigate a dark energy surge at the universe's edge, near the planet of Clintar, which is the homeworld of the symbiote species. Upon approaching Clintar, though, the Guardians' communication was abruptly lost, suggesting they may be encountering the same corruptive force that is affecting Bast and the rest of the gods. With divine help unavailable currently, Shuri realizes that she must rely on trusted allies and herself to protect Wakanda and the universe from impending danger. Sensing the cosmic disruption of the Timestream entanglement, Adam Warlock instinctively retreats into his regenerative cocoon, drifting through space. He is then telepathically contacted by a weakened Odin, who is trapped in the Odin sleep after Loki usurped Asgard and transformed it into Asgard. Odin warns Adam Warlock of an ancient, creeping darkness beyond Loki's schemes, one powerful enough to corrupt entire realities. Adam Warlock then encounters Bast, the Wakandan Panther goddess, who reveals that realities are now merging and ominously refers to a coming feast. Then, a dying Celestial reaches out to Adam Warlock, warning him that before the Celestials, there was a primordial being of absolute darkness, a force even they could not stop. The Celestial names the entity as Knull, the King in Black, revealing that he was slain by Knull's sword and that his corpse still carries Knull's corruption. As Adam Warlock tries to resist, Knull himself enters his mind, dragging him through space towards his domain. Before Knull can fully ensnare him though, a brilliant burst of cosmic fire, the Phoenix Force, briefly blinds Adam Warlock's cocoon, offering a flicker of hope. Adam Warlock then crash lands on Clintar, the living planet of the symbiotes, realizing it is both Knull's former throne and the prison where his own followers once sealed him away. Breaking free from his cocoon, Adam Warlock vows to prevent Knull's resurgence, ensuring that light will shine in the end. Venom awakens in a war-torn nether realm, having escaped imprisonment by Magik in Limbo, who warns him that the realm is in an endless battle between the gods and the demons. A sudden agonizing vision from the Clintar hive mind reveals something ancient and evil. The King in Black, Knull, has awakened and threatens all of existence. Determined to stop Knull, Venom realizes he must find All Black, the Necro Sword, the legendary weapon that Knull once used to slay an entire Celestial. So Magik helps Venom by using her mutant teleportation ability to open a portal, sending him across the galaxy to the remains of the fallen Celestial where the sword may be hidden. Venom finds the Necrosword embedded in the Celestial's corpse, its darkness pulsing with ancient power, but no matter how hard he tries, he cannot pull it free. Unbeknownst to Venom, Adam Warlock's cosmic cocoon drifts nearby, awakening the Celestial's remnants, which release a psionic shockwave that hurls Venom into space. Venom crash lands on Clintar, the symbiote homeworld, where he is embraced by his kin, only to realize that Knull's influence is already creeping through the planet. Nearby, Venom discovers Warlock's cocoon, which the symbiotes are preparing to consume, but before they can, Venom tears it open to reveal Adam Warlock inside. Mistaking Venom for an agent of darkness, Adam Warlock immediately attacks, forcing Venom to defend himself while trying to explain their shared goal. Realizing their common enemy, Adam Warlock and Venom reluctantly agree to an alliance, both now fully committed to stopping Knull before he can plunge the universe into eternal darkness. After the Milano ship crashes on an unknown planet, Groot wanders off, avoiding Rocket and Star-Lord's argument, and finds himself drawn to an eerie voice from the jungle. The jungle plants, part plant and part symbiote, warn Groot to leave, claiming they will hurt him if he gets too close. But Groot responds with kindness, confusing all of them. Groot realizes the symbiote plants have never known trust or friendship, and tries to teach them that strength comes from unity, not just survival. A massive explosion erupts from the crashed ships, spreading fire through the jungle, terrifying the symbiotic plants, who cannot escape. Determined to save them, Groot extends his roots beneath the wreckage, overturning the ships to smother the flames, creating a firebreak and protecting the jungle. The plants are now grateful, and they reveal that Rocket has wandered into an old complex, now engulfed in flames, so Groot rushes to save his best friend. Inside the complex, Groot finds Rocket trapped behind an enemy Groot finds Rocket trapped behind an energy barrier while monstrous black symbiotes swarm the corridors, trying to reach him. Despite being overwhelmed, Groot fights back, and the jungle plants, now his allies, intervene, using their symbiotic abilities to consume the attacking creatures. With Rocket safe now, Groot proudly shows him the plants that helped guide him. Though Rocket is horrified that he even trusted a symbiote to begin with, but Rocket and Groot then return to the Milano, carrying the energy barrier as a tool to repair the ship, while Groot reflects on the power of friendship, even on a hostile world like Clintar. After Star-Lord crashes the Milano ship on Clintar, Rocket searches a massive ship graveyard for salvageable parts to repair the ship. He quickly realizes he's being watched and is soon ambushed by monstrous symbiote creatures with claws and fangs. Rocket flees into an eerie complex of ancient buildings, dropping a miniature gravity well behind him to annihilate some of his pursuers. Inside, he discovers advanced containment and weapons technology, realizing the place may have been a prison or a lab meant to control the symbiotes. As he scavenges for parts, the facility's automated defenses activate, nearly frying Rocket before symbiotes destroy the turrets. Rocket fights his way to a small, secure side room in the facility, where he discovers a powerful Xandarian energy barrier projector, perfect for fortifying his position. Hot-wiring the barrier with salvaged quantum circuits, he successfully activates it, trapping the symbiotes outside while allowing him to fire through it. Realizing that he can repurpose this technology to repair the Milano's engines, he devises a plan to escape with the components he needs. However, with more symbiotes gathering and the facility's doors starting to give way, Rocket prepares for one last desperate fight. Blaster charged and ready, he stands his ground, waiting for Groot, or anyone, to show up before he makes his next move. After crash landing the Milano ship on Clintar, Star-Lord Peter Quill defends the ship from attacking symbiotes while Rocket and Groot search for parts. He notices that the symbiotes on Clintar are different, bonded to various alien species, and far more aggressive than usual. An explosion in the ship graveyard draws most of the symbiotes away, giving Quill a temporary reprieve to repair the Milano. Hours later, Rocket and Groot return with scavenged technology, including a vital energy barrier system that could stabilize the ship. Star-Lord unveils his plan to escape, using a Celestial's corpse in orbit as an anchor for a quantum displacement swap, a technique inspired by the Negabands. Rocket Raccoon, initially skeptical of this plan, realizes the plan might actually work, but warns that they need a force-dampening matrix to survive the swap. And Groot, with the help of Clintar's symbiotic plants, unknowingly gathered the exact piece of tech they needed. So they activate the quantum swap, briefly entering the negative zone, where they come face to face with the floating celestial corpse. Now at this point, the scanners they have start to reveal movement within the corpse, and Star-Lord, of course, panicking when he sees this, forces them back to Clintar, but not before glimpsing a mysterious symbiote figure in a glowing cocoon. Though Rocket and Groot are frustrated with his rash decisions, Peter Quill remains confident that his leadership saved them, while the Celestial's corpse still looms ominously above. The Black Panther, King T'Challa, reflects on the success of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, a fusion of science and tradition that has spread across the stars. The Wakandan gods, known collectively as the Orisha, have fallen mysteriously silent. Even Bast, the Panther goddess who chose T'Challa as her champion, has not talked to him in a while. Wakanda is at war with two versions of Doctor Doom from different timelines, both of them seeking control of the fractured Timestream. While praying for guidance, T'Challa is unexpectedly answered by Kalunia, the banished sister of Bast, who warns T'Challa of a growing darkness in the universe. The Black Panther distrusts Kalunia but begins to fear that the Orisha themselves may have been corrupted by this unknown force. Meanwhile, Princess Shuri, T'Challa's sister, urges T'Challa to allow Wakanda's Vibranium Chronovium to be used in the Timestream reintegration device, but he refuses. T'Challa believes that Wakanda's greatest resource is not its vibranium, is not its infused vibranium with chronovium, it is Shuri herself, and entrusts her with leading the scientific efforts. Shuri accepts T'Challa's orders, although she is very frustrated by them. And while reflecting on his next move, T'Challa finally hears from Bast, but her voice is different. It's laced with an unsettling darkness. She cryptically tells him that he is not the only, quote-unquote, king in black that she has favored, as dark energy begins consuming the Hall of Jalia. Determined to protect Wakanda at all costs, the King T'Challa rushes towards the danger, prepared to defy even the gods themselves in order to protect the people of Wakanda, because that is the only thing he cares about. Wakanda forever. Next up is Blind Devotion. King T'Challa, the Black Panther, after hearing concerns from Shuri, his sister, about the corruption of Bast, the Panther goddess, begins to travel spiritually to the astral plane, known as Jalia, seeking answers. Upon arrival, he finds Jalia deserted and lifeless, indicating something has gone deeply wrong. Through meditation and communication with Bast, he discovers that the goddess has indeed become corrupted. Bast then demands absolute loyalty and violent devotion from King T'Challa, promising him unlimited power if he serves only her and destroys all opposition. T'Challa then experiences a disturbing vision of the heart-shaped herb glowing a fiery crimson rather than its normal purple glow, symbolizing Bast's corruption. He breaks the connection with Bast, horrified by the twisted, warped reflection of the Panther goddess, stained with darkness and evil. T'Challa returns to the physical plane, awakening before a statue of Bast, which briefly shines with an ominous glow, reinforcing his fears of what has become. Resolute and defiant, King T'Challa vows to cleanse Bast of this darkness, pledging to save both his goddess and Wakanda from this mysterious corruption. Lin Lee, the new Iron Fist, meditates under the Tree of Immortality in Kunlun, reflecting on how he became the protector of the mystical city after wielding the shattered sword of Fuji. The Timestream Entanglement has merged Kunlun with the other capital cities of heaven, but all the other immortal weapons have mysteriously vanished, leaving Lin Lee alone. As he ponders his fate, a green mist materializes and attacks him, revealing itself to be a thief stealing enchanted fruit from the Tree of Immortality. The Iron Fist gives chase, leaping across rooftops, and eventually recognizes the thief as the Prince of the Orphans, the immortal weapon of Zigambo. The chase leads Lin into a shadowy underground realm known as the Land of Shadows, which was once the infamous 8th City, a prison for the capital cities of heaven. Inside, the Iron Fist finds the Prince of the Orphans caring for a sick infant named Lhasa, whom he rescued from a war between ancient forces and elder gods. Iron Fist then uses his Shi to restore the decaying enchanted fruit, saving the child and earning the Prince of Orphans' respect. In return, the prince offers to train the Iron Fist in martial arts, knowing he never properly trained in the ways of past Iron Fists. However, before they could begin their training, Kunlun's guards arrive, ready to execute Iron Fist for stealing the sacred fruit, but they are stopped by Dizang, the mysterious ruler of the Land of Shadows. Dizang warns the Iron Fist that many in this realm seek to claim the power of the Iron Fist, but if he disrupts the balance, he will have to answer to Dizang himself. Down in Limbo, Magik returns from a brutal, time-spanning war only to be visited by the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, who seeks her help in an even greater multiversal conflict. Wanda reveals that Doctor Strange has shown her the full scope of the Timestream entanglement, proving that reality itself is unraveling. Magik is skeptical of this, but Wanda insists that her unique soul-based magic is crucial in saving countless lives across dimensions. Before Magik can answer though, she transforms into her demonic Dark Child form, testing Wanda's resolve by pointing the Soul Sword at her throat. The tension is broken when the Wolverine arrives, revealing he is on a mission to rescue a lost mutant child who accidentally transported into Limbo. Now, Magik, remembering her own childhood trauma in Limbo, immediately agrees to help Logan and Wanda locate the missing child. They track her to a cave, but Wanda's hex accidentally triggers a rock slide, trapping the girl inside before Logan can reach her. Magik then uses her stepping disc to safely teleport the child out, and the Wolverine comforts her, vowing to bring her home to Krakoa. Using a Krakoan gateway seed, the Wolverine opens a portal to the mutant island of Krakoa, inviting Magik to return home with him. Magik agrees to join him, but only if the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, the daughter of Magneto, can come as well. But because Wanda is not a mutant, she needs to get past the gates of Krakoa. So Wanda casts a spell to alter the portal, ensuring that Krakoa will accept her entry. Magneto stands on the shores of Krakoa in the year 2099, reflecting on the struggles of mutant kind and how they have finally found a home in the future. Magneto is shortly joined by Storm, reminding him that while they have fought hard for this moment, there are still lost mutants scattered across space and time. Wolverine arrives through a Krakoan gate, having rescued a young mutant who was accidentally trapped in Limbo, followed by Magik, who is changed greatly from the version they once knew. And moments later, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, and more specifically, Magneto's long-lost daughter from another timeline, steps through the gate, using chaos magic to bypass Krakoan's mutant-only entry rule. It's at this time Wanda and Magneto share an emotional reunion, and she explains that she has been holding her universe together for far too long. But now she sees the bigger picture. Everyone's battles are connected. Wolverine, preparing to leave for another mission with Black Widow, reminds them that there's a war to fight, and Magneto reconsiders Krakoan's isolationist stance. Inspired by Wanda's words, Magneto realizes mutants across time and space need their help and agrees on an alliance beyond just protecting Krakoa. Wanda then suggests modifying Cerebro with chaos magic to track the lost mutants across dimensions, and Magneto reconstructs the device using buried metal fragments. When Magneto dons the enhanced Cerebro, he sees flashes of mutants across the multiverse. He sees warriors, kings, and cosmic forces waiting to be found. With a newfound purpose, Magneto declares that the gates of Krakoa are open to all mutants across time and space, echoing Charles Xavier's legendary call to them all, as he says, "To me, my X-Men." Mantis awakens as a prisoner in the Collector's Museum, trapped in a glass tank among other strange life forms in his new intergalactic theme park. While telepathically scanning her fellow captives, she connects with two unique minds, a joyful creature named Jeff and a deadly warrior known as Psy. Realizing her psionic powers are being suppressed by the Collector's containment field, Mantis devises multiple escape plans, all of which fail, until she is forced into a deadly arena match. Mantis is pitted against another version of herself, confirming that the Collector has captured multiple Mantises, or Mantis Eye, whatever you want to say, from across the multiverse. Rather than fight, the other Mantis, exhausted and hopeless, helps Mantis escape by guiding her astral form out of her body, sacrificing herself in the process. Mantis takes refuge in the astral plane, using her connection to the surrounding alien plants to regrow a new physical form and break free. Determined to free the others, she rescues Psy from her cell and convinces her to join the escape, despite Psy's initial skepticism. Before leaving, Mantis insists on saving Jeff, revealing that he is a small, hyperactive land shark with a contagious sense of optimism. Together, the three of them fight through the Collector's guards, commandeer a ship, and blast their way out of the theme park. As they escape, Mantis vows to return, not just to destroy the Collector's prison, but to make him experience what it means to be a captive himself. Jeff the Land Shark finds himself trapped in a small glass enclosure within the Collector's intergalactic theme park, unsure of how he got there in the first place. Though he is frustrated, he tries to stay optimistic, recalling his past adventures with friends like Gwenpool and Kate Bishop. He telepathically connects with Mantis, who is another captive in this theme park, and senses her distress when she is taken to an arena for a deadly fight. Determined to escape, Jeff repeatedly smashes himself against the enclosure and fails to break free. Mantis and her new ally, Psy, return to rescue him, but Psy remains wary of Jeff and his overly enthusiastic nature. As they flee, Jeff is distracted by an unusual scent and discovers the Collector's private gallery filled with powerful artifacts. Following his instincts, Jeff devours nearly everything in sight, including a mysterious metal vial labeled Pim, causing him to suddenly grow to enormous size. Now a giant, Jeff rampages through the facility, smashing open countless enclosures and freeing other captives. Mantis convinces Jeff to follow her and Psy to the hangar, where they steal a spacecraft and make their escape. As they fly away, Jeff looks back at the still trapped creatures, and Mantis promises Jeff that they will return and free all of them and make Collector pay, to which Jeff responds with an enthusiastic "Murr!" In the past, Psy, who's also known as Psylocke, hunted and exterminated insect-like demons terrorizing a village at the base of Mount Chiaru, but was unexpectedly struck down by an unknown force. She awoke much later, trapped inside the Collector's intergalactic menagerie, this theme park, and a prison, where she was displayed as a rare and dangerous specimen. Psylocke allied with a fellow captive, Mantis, to break free, reluctantly joining her and Jeff the Land Shark in their escape. As they fled in a stolen spaceship, Jeff senses they were being followed, and soon after, the Collector's massive battleship materialized behind them. Mantis piloted them into an asteroid field to evade pursuit, but was forced to take refuge inside the mouth of a massive space whale known as an Encanti. Inside the Encanti's body, Psylocke realized that it was infested with an alien parasite known as the Brood, which she initially mistook for demons from her homeworld. Psylocke fought through the Brood swarm, using her psionic abilities to link the Encanti's suffering with the Brood Queen, forcing her and her brood to retreat into space. Grateful, the Encanti transported them to the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, but before they get there, Jeff repaid the favor by giving the space whale a dental cleaning. So before they could even reach Wakanda, Mantis intercepted a distress call from Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy, leading her to change course for the symbiote-infested planet of Clintar. As Mantis prepared to leave, Psylocke heard a powerful telepathic call inside of her mind saying, "To me, my X-Men," and realized she had to travel to the living island of Krakoa, believing it may hold the key to returning home. Namor rules over the vast undersea kingdoms, uniting Talokan, Atlantis, and Lemuria under his reign, but he desires to expand beyond the oceans. Namor views humanity as the greatest threat to the planet, polluting the seas and disrupting the natural balance, and decides the time has come for war. His first target is Jeju Island in the Pacific, but knowing powerful beings will oppose him, he seeks an alliance with Krakoa, the mutant nation. So Namor uses a seed he planted in the ocean floor, activating a Krakoan gateway allowing him to traverse time and space to reach the mutant homeland of Krakoa. Once getting there, he is greeted by Magneto, Storm, and Magik, with Magneto asserting that Namor is one of them, as his ability to pass through the gates confirms that Namor has mutant heritage. Namor scoffs at Charles Xavier's vision of peaceful coexistence, calling it a naive dream that will eventually fail when humanity turns on them once again. Storm and Magik caution Namor against unnecessary war, while Magneto acknowledges his plight but warns that genocide will not be tolerated by any means. Magneto reminds Namor of Krakoa's core law, murder no man, and warns that if he wages war on humanity, Namor may find that Krakoa will stand against him. Namor leaves without making a final decision but returns to his throne, pondering whether the mutants will be allies or future enemies. Ultimately, he orders his armies and sea beasts to prepare for war, declaring that Jeju Island will be the first to fall, and if necessary, Krakoa may be next. Luna Snow performs a massive concert on Jeju Island, singing in front of 100,000 fans when the ground suddenly shakes unnaturally. A colossal tsunami appears on the horizon, driven by an immense shadow lurking beneath the water, revealing itself to be the legendary sea creature, Monstro. Using her cryokinetic powers, Luna Snow freezes the tsunami in place, momentarily stopping the disaster and saving thousands of lives. However, Monstro breaks free from the ice, revealing a massive wound that has driven it into a rage, causing it to lash out with its tentacles. Realizing the wound is the cause of Monstro's aggression, Luna uses her unique healing ice to mend the injury, soothing the creature and preventing further destruction. As Monstro peacefully retreats into the ocean, Luna Snow is then approached by Namor, the ruler of Talokan, who acknowledges her actions saved both the surface dwellers and his own people. Namor then reveals that Monstro was wounded by a reckless submarine, which led to its rampage, and cryptically warns that all surface dweller vessels will soon be destroyed. Despite the tension, Luna Snow boldly challenges Namor's arrogance, insisting that the true loyalty and admiration must be earned from people, not taken by force. Luna Snow even invites Namor to join her for an encore at the concert, hoping music might ease tensions. But Namor declines, warning that soon, the surface world will chant his name instead of Luna Snow's. As Namor disappears into the ocean, Luna reignites her performance, but deep down, she worries that the power of music will not be enough to stop the war that is coming. Peni Parker reflects on the chaos caused by Dr. Victor Von Doom, the destruction of the web of life and destiny, and her own displacement in Tokyo, far from her old life in New York City. Despite the heavy burden, she tries to remain optimistic, focusing on upgrading her spider mech and protecting time and space. Peni Parker has been experimenting with Chronovium, discovering it is some form of crystallized time, though its full properties remain unclear. Peni is doing her job in patrolling the web of life and destiny and spots a Doombot sneaking towards the Master Weaver and his apprentice, Spider-Zero. Peni then ambushes and destroys the Doombot mid-air, sending debris scattering across the web strands. And this is where the Master Weaver cryptically tells Peni that all things, including Chronovium, are part of the web, but gives no further answers beyond that. Spider-Zero, meanwhile, is writing messages and attaching them to Chronovium, sending them through portals to other versions of herself. Peni learns that Spider-Zeros can influence other realities, but Spider-Zero warns her that the web is too fragile to make drastic changes. And when more Doombots begin to attack, Spider-Zero effortlessly portals them away, making Peni realize that there's much more to her powers than she understands. And as Peni Parker resumes her patrol, she reflects on her father's legacy and how, despite everything, she believes that he would be proud of her and the work that she is doing for the multiverse. Spider-Man Peter Parker swings to the Queensboro Bridge every week, longing to visit Aunt May. But the bridge is patrolled by vampires, making escape from Manhattan virtually impossible. Frustrated about being sidelined from scientific efforts on the Timestream reintegration device, Peter Parker reflects on his past while watching the blood moon over New York City. Now, a mysterious note from someone called Spider-Zero appears before him, claiming that the web of life and destiny needs his help. And Spider-Zero then opens a portal revealing the web, a vast cosmic network connecting all spider people across reality. But Peter Parker refuses to leave his home. Spider-Zero says that she will return and hopefully, Peter Parker will have a different answer. This is when the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, interrupts Peter's brooding and says that he has exciting news. Blade has finally appeared in Central Park. The two speed over there and Peter and Johnny find Blade battling vampires, who reveals that he's been investigating how Dracula managed to conquer New York City. But before they could get more answers from Blade, Dracula himself emerges from the shadows, forcing the trio into a desperate fight. Dracula then transforms into a monstrous bat-like form, extinguishing Johnny's flames and captures Blade, flying towards his castle. And as Peter Parker watches Dracula escape with Blade, he begins to doubt himself, wondering if he should have accepted Spider-Zero's offer after all. Next up is Web Warriors from the perspective of Spider-Man Peter Parker. Spider-Man says that he is recruited by Spider-Zero, who gathers multiple Spideys across dimensions to deal with a multiversal threat. They end up in Tokyo in the year 2099, where a major tear in space-time is shredding the web of life and destiny apart, which is the multiverse's cosmic connective tissue. Now, this new team that's getting put together is consisting of Peni Parker and her Spider-Bot, a punk rock Spidey with a mohawk and a guitar, a chill, low-effort, just chill guy overall Spidey person, and Spider-Zero, of course, the team's leader. They have formed a multiversal team, which is tentatively called the Web Warriors, but you know, that name could change, to repair the tear and save all realities connected by the web. Their opponent? The Master Weaver, Spider-Zero's former mentor, who was originally the guardian of the web. The Master Weaver is said to have gone rogue, believing he can use the chrono energy from the rift to strengthen the web, but at the cost of Tokyo's entire population. The Master Weaver then banished Spider-Zero for opposing his plan, forcing her to build a resistance from alternate universe Spideys. The mission now is to patch the cosmic rift before the web unravels and the entire multiverse collapses. The Iron Man, Tony Stark, struggles to combat the vampire invasion of Manhattan, as his armor's thermal-based targeting systems are ineffective against creatures that generate no body heat. After wasting nearly $98 million worth of missiles, Tony Stark realizes that he needs a new strategy and uses his Unibeam armor overdrive to wipe out a horde of vampires down in Hell's Kitchen. But before he can celebrate this victory, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, calls him back to the lab. revealing that Ben Grimm has recovered a highly pure chronovium crystal that may power the Timestream reintegration device. Stark and Richards then debate whether to test the TRD prematurely, with Reed Richards pushing for experimentation, while Tony Stark insists that they only have one chance to get it right, so they can't take too big of a risk. Their argument is soon interrupted when Moon Knight arrives, revealing that the vampires have been using the construction site as a secondary nesting ground. Tony Stark realizes a little bit too late that he was lured into a trap, because vampires had been waiting silently in the rafters, ambushing him and Moon Knight. Moon Knight then uses an enchanted ankh to repel the vampires, explaining that the only true way to wipe them out is by using an ancient spell known as the Montesi formula. This spell is written within the Darkhold, but its pages were scattered across New York City when an alternate Wanda Maximoff pulled Doctor Strange back into their dimension. Moon Knight warns that using the spell would destroy all vampires, including the innocent New Yorkers who were turned into vampires, forcing Tony Stark to consider an impossible moral choice. However, before Tony Stark can even make a decision, his AI, Friday, detects a massive Asgardian power surge in Central Park, forcing Iron Man to change course, leaving Moon Knight with one final question. Whose side are you on? Squirrel Girl and her army of squirrels fight off hordes of vampires in New York City, protecting the city from the supernatural invasion. Her best friend, Tippy Toe, alerts her to a strange occurrence. A giant squirrel has crash-landed in Central Park. The injured creature introduces herself as Ratatoskar, a legendary Asgardian squirrel from Yggdrasil, claiming that it was attacked by Dr. Victor Von Doom and Dracula. Ratatoskar then reveals its horns is made from Yggdrasil's wood, carrying life-giving powers that could permanently destroy Dracula, making Ratatoskar a prime target. Now, before Squirrel Girl and Tippy Toe can process his revelation, Dracula and his elite vampire army attack them, demanding Ratatoskar be turned over to him. Squirrel Girl and her squirrel allies battle Dracula's forces but are quickly overwhelmed as a vampire lord turns her squirrel army against her. Dracula's mind control leaves Squirrel Girl paralyzed with shock, as even Tippy Toe turns against her, preparing to attack her. At the last moment though, Iron Man and Moon Knight arrive, blasting Dracula's forces and breaking his control over the squirrels. However, within the chaos, Dracula escapes with Ratatoskar, leaving Squirrel Girl devastated and determined to rescue her new friend. Despite wanting to chase after Dracula, Iron Man insists Squirrel Girl retreat, carrying Squirrel Girl to safety, leaving her feeling helpless and, for the very first time, uncertain of victory. Dr. Victor Von Doom visiting Dracula as he offers him a rare crystal known as chronovium, born from the Timestream Entanglement, which of course is the result of Dr. Doom and his future counterpart, Dr. Doom 2099, messing with the fabric of space-time. Dr. Doom proposes combining Dracula's immortal blood with chronovium to freeze New York City in eternal night, offering it as Dracula's empire. Now, Dracula is a bit hesitant, so then Dr. Doom promises access to the Vampiric Verses, which is a page of the Darkhold, which would allow vampires to walk freely during the daylight. This is an offer that Dracula simply can't refuse. He agrees, giving Dr. Doom a drop of his blood to begin the spell. Dr. Doom arrives at the Sanctum Sanctorum attempting to claim the Darkhold from Doctor Strange. But Stephen Strange is a very smart man. Once he gets a little sniff of Dr. Doom wanting to use a Darkhold, Doctor Strange hides it in another dimension. However, due to the Timestream Entanglement, Doctor Strange is trapped in the astral plane where he discovers that Khonshu now holds the Darkhold. And with New York City now overrun by vampires, Khonshu wants the Darkhold to cast a spell known as the Montesi formula that will destroy all vampires. But it would also kill the innocent ones that were turned into vampires as well. So, Doctor Strange, who learned from the Scarlet Witch that Khonshu is a bit of a fiend for challenges in games, he's a bit of a gambler. Doctor Strange challenges Khonshu to a game of Senate, using Doctor Doom-inspired strategy to win the game, escape, and reclaim the Darkhold. Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, is studying a Chronovium crystal as he makes an interdimensional call to an alternate version of Princess Shuri of Wakanda. And as the two are talking about Chronovium and are talking about the Timestream reintegration device that they've worked on, Princess Shuri introduces the term chronoverses as they begin to find out the Timestream entanglement has created branching alternate realities. So far, they know of at least 4 known realities, due to both of them having varying degrees of interactions with these alternate people, such as Shuri now teaming up with an alternate version of Captain America, who was not awoken from his ice until the year 2099. Additionally, Shuri is also working alongside displaced heroes like the Wolverine, the Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye. And they're sitting here, they have a whole gang of interdimensional heroes. Meanwhile, Shuri goes on and she says she has felt a darkness going around the universe, so she sent the Guardians of the Galaxy to the planet of Clintar to investigate. But since arriving, they have gone silent. And on top of all of that, about a week ago, Shuri sent her brother, the Black Panther, King T'Challa, with a heart-shaped herb to Reed Richards' universe in order to potentially use that herb to cure the vampires in New York City. The only problem is, it's been a week, Reed Richards has no knowledge of Black Panther arriving. Where is the Black Panther? The Black Panther is in New York City after recently arriving through a portal from the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, as he arrives with the heart-shaped herb in hopes to cure the vampires of New York City. However, as he's walking, trying to find the Baxter Building, Black Panther is ambushed by vampires and manipulated by Dracula, who uses a blood-infused chronovium crystal to begin transforming him into a vampire. Dracula fails to bite T'Challa due to his vibranium suit, so Dracula instead tries to magically enslave him. And you already know, T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, the Black Panther, is going to fight back, and he does for a while, and he escapes Dracula's grasp. However, he was not able to avoid becoming a vampire. The Black Panther is now roaming the streets with a thirst for blood, disconnected from Bast and the other Orisha gods, as now he is in New York City, no longer the Black Panther, now a vampire, conflicted about using the heart-shaped herb on himself or not. The vampire hunter known as Blade returns to New York City and learns of Dracula's eternal night spell over the entire city. Shortly thereafter, Blade, Spider-Man, and the Human Torch fight Dracula, but Dracula is able to defeat them. Blade and the messenger squirrel from Asgard, Ratatoskar, are imprisoned by Dracula under Central Park. And this is a big problem because that is where Dracula's castle now lies. The Daily Bugle's J. Jonah Jameson reports that New York City has been in darkness for an extended time now. Vampires roam the city freely, as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, and the Iron Man, Tony Stark, are working on a cure, but they disagree on the methods on how to use it. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four, Squirrel Girl, Moon Knight, and Cloak and Dagger patrol the streets, saving civilians from vampires. And of course, that menace, Spider-Man, once there's trouble afoot, he goes through a portal to go to the future. Who knows where that guy went? He's a menace! The Baxter Building's robotic assistant AI, Herbie, explains how each of the Fantastic Four members are deployed throughout the city. The Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, also known as Susan Richards, is currently spying on Dracula's castle in Central Park. And here's the thing, Ben Grimm is in Lower Manhattan retrieving chronovium crystals. Meanwhile, the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and Spider-Man are going around the city saving civilians from vampires. And finally, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, and the Iron Man, Tony Stark, are collaborating on a machine known as the Timestream reintegration device, which will hopefully, when used, can reverse the vampire curse on New York City and possibly fix all of the effects that have happened because of the Timestream entanglement. Khonshu's avatar, Moon Knight, has formed the Eternity Knights, which consists of course, himself, Moon Knight, Iron Man, the Wolverine, the Winter Soldier, and a new sword-wielding ally. Now, after they assemble, Iron Man enhances his armor with chronovium and develops a time-rewinding tech to go alongside with it. Now, this team is crazy. They fight vampires with lethal tactics. Now, you have to remember, some of these vampires out here, they were just innocent civilians. They were just living in New York City, and they got bit by vampires. Not all of these guys are Dracula's henchmen. You know what I mean? You gotta remember that. But hey, Iron Man is just punching him right in the jaw with this new tech he's got. Now, Moon Knight notes that they have seen a rise in a rival vampire faction, led by someone in white armor. Who could that be? Susan Richards, also known as the Invisible Woman Susan Storm, gazes out from the Baxter Building at a permanently darkened New York City as she longs for the sunlight while reflecting on her relentless fight against Dracula's forces. The Fantastic Four's robotic assistant, Herbie, brings her tea and reminds her that she hasn't taken a break in nearly 7 days. And upon hearing this, a heated moment arises when Herbie tells Sue that the world needs her more than her children do, making her question if she's failing as a mother. Susan later learns from Reed Richards that Herbie wanted to leave the Baxter Building to help Friday, which is Tony Stark's AI, but Reed Richards denied Herbie due to safety concerns. Realizing that she and Reed had made Herbie feel unappreciated, Susan tracks his emergency signal to Grand Central Station, and on her way there she encounters Bats, who is Doctor Strange's ghostly basset hound, who tells her that a giant robot has crashed near the Grand Central Station. Invisible Woman goes even faster to the station to find Herbie, and he is atop a damaged Stark Sentinel, desperately trying to recover Friday's memory files before they're lost forever. And once Susan gets there, a horde of vampires attack them, forcing Sue to fight while witnessing a strange phenomenon. Her force projectiles are seemingly reversing the time damage on the robot. And just as Susan began to struggle against the overwhelming enemy, a swarm of spider bots arrive, assisting her in repelling the vampires. Are these spider bots Spider-Mans? No, Susan says, I think these were made by Peni Parker. And now Susan, moved by Herbie's bravery to help Friday, reassures him that he isn't just a tool to the family. He is part of the family. And Susan promises to talk to Reed about giving him some more upgrades, to which the idea is brought up that maybe some lasers could be part of that upgrade. The Human Torch, Johnny Storm, patrols Dracula's New York City every single night, burning vampires and keeping the area around the Baxter Building clear. Human Torch's defiance makes him Dracula's top target, with the Vampire Lord sending his best lieutenants after him specifically, but none of them can handle Johnny's superheated plasma form. And one night, while sweeping Madison Avenue, Johnny witnesses an explosion and a massive rock-like creature emerge from underground. Realizing that it is one of Mole Man's deviant mutates, but now it's a vampire, Johnny Storm attempts to burn it, but the flames have absolutely no effect on its stone body. As the creature rampages towards the Baxter Building, the Thing, Ben Grimm, arrives to the scene to help, but even his strength struggles against the monstrous vampire. And then a few moments later, they are aided by Spider-Man, who swings in, uses his webbing to hold the creature in place, while Johnny Storm devises a risky plan to collapse the street beneath the monster. Johnny then baits the creature into lunging at him while Ben rips Spider-Man's web from its anchor, dropping the monster into its original underground cavern. As the monster clings to the edges of the hole, Johnny unleashes a Nova Blast, superheating the concrete and steel, forcing it to fall into the abyss. The molten wreckage seals the cavern, but Johnny Storm knows that this is only a temporary victory, because Dracula will try something much worse next time. However, standing on the street looking towards Dracula's castle, Johnny Storm smirks and challenges the vampire lord directly and screams at the castle, "Come and get me, if you've got the guts." The Thing, Ben Grimm, is doing his daily patrol. Not daily, nightly, always. It's always night. Nightly patrols, and he discovers that the new vampire army in Washington Square Park is led by a vampiric King T'Challa. Now, once the Thing gets in there, they start talking. All right, here's the thing. He's very persuasive. And the Thing says, "Here's the thing. You need to consume that heart-shaped herb. We need you. We can figure out another solution to end the vampires, but we need you to be you." So King T'Challa consumes a heart-shaped herb, temporarily curing himself. Look at the adjective, temporarily. Because once he does that, his blood returns to being Wakandan, to being pure, to being sweet, to being desirable by the vampires. So the vampires attack him, and during this attack, Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards intervenes, arriving with a miniaturized version of the Timestream reintegration device, restoring all of the vampires back to human form. However, because Reed Richards used this miniaturized TRD to reverse time in this localized area, T'Challa is now re-vampirized as a side effect, but they don't have another heart-shaped herb to reverse the effects, so he is now a vampire once again. What? Dr. Stephen Strange and Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards extract time energy from the Book of the Darkhold in order to power the Timestream reintegration device. However, as they're trying to do this, the Iron Man, Tony Stark, attacks, claiming that they're missing critical pages in order to do this. They're missing the Montesi formula, and they are missing the vampiric verses. So as all three of them argue, Reed Richards now is less confident in using the TRD so soon, adding yet another wrench into the story of how to find a solution for the vampires in New York City. The Human Torch, Johnny Storm, has always wanted to be a superstar, even before he became one of the Fantastic Four. But the stakes are at an all-time high now. New York City, overrun by vampires, and it's been going on for a long time now. So they need to come up with a plan, and Johnny Storm comes up with this grand plan. Johnny Storm is going to become Harry Potter. Oh no, he's going to sacrifice himself. He wants to create a Nova Blast to distract the vampire horde, as his sister, Susan Storm, is planning to infiltrate Dracula's castle. So, Johnny Storm takes a moment to reflect on his growth and his legacy as a Human Torch, as this plan might be what makes him the star that he's always meant to be. Within the Book of Doom, there is a passage from the Doctor Doom 2099 variant, as he reveals that he's been pretty impressed with the present-day Doctor Doom, despite not liking him and what he's doing at all, because Doctor Doom 2099 reveals that present-day Doctor Doom created this elaborate plan to create a vampire war in New York City to merely cause a distraction to harvest pure blood Cranovium from Dracula. Dr. Doom is said to have manipulated Dracula, helped the heroes at key moments, and claimed his true prize, a blood-infused Cranovium crystal, would theoretically make the wielder immortal. So the vampire crisis was part of a long con, as Dr. Doom ultimately walks away victorious. But Dr. Doom 2099 says this is merely just the beginning of a series of manipulations across the timeline. The Quiet Council being established after mutants unified on the living island of Krakoa. Now, this council consisted of 12 members divided into 4 different ideological seasons. You have Autumn, which consisted of mutant kind's greatest leaders. You have Winter, which are the more radical thinkers. You have Spring, the more compassionate and nurturing voices. And finally, you have Summer, which is right down the middle. It is just and fair representatives. Now, if you're not that good at math, we have 12 members and we have 4 seasons, meaning each season consisted of 3 seats on the council. And together, they embodied the entirety of Krakoa's diverse population. However, following the Timestream entanglement, it scattered many of the mutants across time and space. So of the 12 members of the Quiet Council, only 3 council members remain. At the seat of Autumn, we have Magneto. At the seat of Winter, we have Emma Frost. And at the seat of Summer, we have Storm. Now, if you didn't notice, the Spring seats are completely empty. All of those members displaced across the timelines. So Krakoa, displaced to the year 2099, within itself has a fractured council. Now, you hear me talk about Krakoa being a living island, but you may be one of the people that doesn't really know what that means. So let me explain it to you. Let me lay it down for you like this, brother. Krakoa is not just a homeland, it's not just a location, it's not just island. It is an actual, living, sentient, mutant island, constantly evolving along with the species that inhabit it. Its native flora produces powerful medicinal compounds with the effects that include curing life-threatening illnesses and extending lifespans for both mutants and humans alike. Now, these Krakoan flowers are now highly sought after, as you could probably guess, becoming a major economic and political asset in mutant kind's dealings with the outside world. Now, the Hellfire Trading Company, led by the Quiet Council's Emma Frost, distributes these pharmaceuticals, using them to forge strategic alliances and defend Krakoa's interest around the world. Now, among these pharmaceuticals, there is one drug known as, forgive me, Cracomycin 1, and that functions as a universal antibiotic offered to the world as a quote-unquote gift, though it's really just used as a vehicle to get ahead in the global negotiations of politics. Now, on to the next question you may have. You hear me talking about the Hellfire Trading Company, and you may be wondering, what is that? What does that name mean? Well, Hellfire in the Hellfire Trading Company comes from the Hellfire Club, and this club was originally a secretive society of powerful mutants known for hosting lavish parties that displayed their wealth and their influence. With the founding of Krakoa as a sovereign mutant nation, the club slowly evolved into the Hellfire Trading Company, led by Emma Frost. So now that it's an actual company operating globally, their new mission is exporting Krakoa's gifts, notably its miraculous medicines like we talked about, to the rest of the world, even to those who feared or hated mutants themselves. And they do this to maintain a political and an economic leverage around the world. However, despite this change in purpose, the Hellfire Club's signature social event, known as the Hellfire Gala, continued annually, becoming a global spectacle featuring heroes, politicians, and celebrities. The Hellfire Gala now serves not only as a party, but as a strategic hub for diplomacy, alliance building, and mutant visibility on the world stage. The Hellfire Gala, as you can guess, is a huge deal. If you want to talk about big deals, if you want to talk about the big guns, if you want to talk about the big players, we got to move over to talk about the Wolverine, all right? Because after Krakoa is displaced from the present day into the year 2099 because of the Timestream entanglement, Wolverine takes on multiple responsibilities. You know, this man has to lead the X-Force. He has to protect Krakoa, and he has to search for all of these displaced mutants. And beyond mutant affairs, Logan, the Wolverine, becomes deeply involved with a growing resistance movement fighting to prevent Dr. Victor Von Doom from conquering the future, which is the premise of why all of these problems arose in the first place, right? The Timestream entanglement is because of Dr. Doom tampering with time. So Wolverine teams up with human heroes like the Black Widow and the Punisher, working against oppressive mega corporations and political regimes of the year 2099. Now, this alliance Wolverine has with human rebels frustrates Magneto, who sees it as a betrayal of Krakoa's isolationist security. Right? You have to think about it. Take a second. Let's take a second to break this down. You have Magneto displaced into a different year, into a different universe, his whole island. And then at the same time, let's say half of the mutants that lived there are now gone. They vanished. We don't know where they're at in the timelines. And then of the mutants that are still there, you have the Wolverine, one of the most powerful mutants, now teaming up with humans who are actively trying to gut Krakoa for its resources. There you go. I just put you in the mindset of Magneto. Now I'm going to take you out of the mindset because that's a bit dangerous. He's a dangerous guy, okay? So not only is Magneto frustrated with this alliance Wolverine has, the world starts to take notice with this. And specifically, as an example, a Daily Bugle headline questions whether the Wolverine is committing treason by cooperating with the Resistance and helping Captain America return. While the Wolverine's actions with the Resistance appear to be heroic and strategic, he also has a personal motive driving his journey beyond Krakoa. Because during the Timestream entanglement, Wolverine was separated from his allies, including his greatest love, Mariko Yashida. By joining the Resistance, especially in Tokyo, he hopes to access their intelligence networks and uncover any clues about Mariko's fate. The Wolverine's commitment is absolute. He's willing to go through mega corporations and even Dr. Doom himself to reunite with her. With Krakoa's valuable resources attracting constant external threats, a dedicated strike team was created to proactively defend the island and its people. This elite unit is called the X-Force. The Wolverine serves as the head of security and the field leader, continuing to guide the team despite the chaotic fallout of the Timestream entanglement, which displaced many of its original members. X-Force operates with a military mindset, ready to strike preemptively or retaliate decisively against any threats to Krakoan sovereignty. Now the X-Force, and Krakoa at large, they're such big deals, they're such big threats, that they have not one, not two, not three, but 4 consistent enemies since arriving in the year 2099. Let's list them off, shall we? We got Stark Fujisawa, which is a mega corporation in Tokyo. Speaking of Tokyo, the police surveillance state, known as the Public Eye, is also against them. We also have the organization known as Alchemax against them. And to top it all off, if that wasn't big enough, basically the whole city's infrastructure against the X-Force, their biggest threat is Dr. Doom 2099. The Wolverine recounts his covert mission to rescue Captain America, who had been kept in stasis for decades by the mega corporation known as Alchemax. And after the Black Widow revived Cap from being frozen, Wolverine smuggled him across the galaxy to safety. With that job done, the Wolverine turned to a personal quest, returning the Muramasa Blade, which is a cursed weapon capable of cutting through nearly anything, to Budokan in Tokyo, ensuring that it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. But someone had been watching. As he searched for answers about his lost love, Mariko Yashida, the Wolverine was ambushed by a group of red-clad ninjas, likely sent by enemies who didn't want him digging a little too deep. They didn't want him getting into some information he shouldn't. Now, after a bloody battle, you already know what happened. The Wolverine stood tall as the victor. And after this battle, Wolverine discovers the Black Widow had once again come to his aid, and he's relieved to find that she had survived the earlier chaos at Alchemax Now, if you don't know, Black Widow unthawed Captain America, but then there was an explosion. Black Widow and Captain America were separated. Wolverine shortly thereafter found Captain America, but they were not able to find Black Widow. Ever since then, Wolverine was on the search to find Black Widow. Now they are reunited, and this experience reinforces the Wolverine's personal mantra: when you've lived long enough to lose so much, you fight harder to protect the people you still have, no matter the time or the place. After the Timestream entanglement scattered mutants across the timeline, the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, created a new Cerebro helmet, blending mutant tech with mystic upgrades to track mutants across alternate realities. The Scarlet Witch originally gave the device to her father, Magneto, but it was soon handed over to Emma Frost, whose powerful telepathy made her the better operator. Now, Krakoa already had a Cerebro unit designed to store genetic data and memories of fallen mutants, enabling their resurrection via the resurrection protocols. However, the influx of alternate reality mutants pose a new risk, because duplicates of the same person from different timelines could corrupt or even overwrite each other's data. To solve this, the mutant known as Forge created separate partitions in Cerebro's database to keep each version distinct, ensuring that, for example, that Logan the Wolverine, the X-Man, is not resurrected with the memories of Logan the Wolf. Emma Frost now manages this updated and upgraded Cerebro system, overseeing both cross-reality detection and the preservation of resurrection data. While mutants and humans have focused their battles on the surface, the oceans, which of course cover over 70% of the Earth's surface, are home to their own ancient kingdoms, including Atlantis, Talokan, and other realms of the secret seas. Now, these cities, previously independent, are now unified under Namor's rule, forming a massive collective power base beneath the waves. Now, complicating the oceanic balance, the water level on Earth is rising due to the environmental degradation caused by megacorporations such as Alchemax, making the oceans, and more specifically Namor's territory, increasingly dominant. Namor's influence across the world is not only mythological and military, it's also environmental and strategic. With millions of aquatic citizens behind him, Namor commands a vast, loyal population ready to act at his behest. The Undersea Kingdom is no longer a passive player. It is a rising global force, aligning with mutant kind only so long as it benefits Namor's sovereignty and ideals. Man, that's very vague and very dark. The ruler of the secret seas, Namor, describes his first visit to Krakoa via an undersea gateway, where he is greeted by Magneto and his brood of mutants. Magneto proposes that Namor join the mutants as one of their own, an offer Namor swiftly interprets as political manipulation, as he says, "Namor follows no laws but his own." Offended by what he sees as a veiled attempt to control him, Namor returns to his kingdom and begins to ready his armies for an assault on the surface world. However, his plans are interrupted when the consequences of the Timestream entanglement become clear. Reality itself is unraveling. So, realizing that a greater battle looms, Namor reconsiders his position to go at war with basically the entire planet. This time, it is Emma Frost who summons Namor back to Krakoa. Using her formidable telepathy and political savvy, Emma Frost succeeds where Magneto failed previously, and Namor is impressed, perhaps even charmed by Emma Frost, by both her power and her presence. What can we say? Namor has a type. By the night's end, Namor agrees to ally with Krakoa, and in return, his people are granted access to Krakoa's secrets. But even then, still, Namor warns that his loyalty is conditional, as he says, Namor will gladly honor the deal we have struck, until someone gives me a reason to do otherwise. Because of his unique physiology, which blends Atlantean and mutant traits, Namor is often classified as a mutant. This fact made him a prime target for recruitment by Krakoa's leadership, particularly Magneto, who saw the potential for a mutant undersea alliance. Initially, both Namor and Krakoa were hesitant to formalize relations, wary of one another's goals. But that changed due to the political finesse of Emma Frost, who successfully persuaded Namor to consider the advantages of a united front. So the alliance was formed, at least on paper, combining Krakoa's mutant resources with Namor's control of the oceanic world. However, the document ends on a cautionary note. History has proven that Namor's only true loyalty is to his people and to himself. Rather than relying on traditional machinery, the island of Krakoa employs organic elements such as plankton in its surrounding waters and pollen in its atmosphere. These microorganisms form an early warning network, detecting even the smallest environmental disturbances and relaying information directly to Krakoa, which then, as a sentient mutant island itself, can respond defensively. However, this system has one critical vulnerability: the King of Atlantis, Namor. Because due to his immense control over oceanic currents, Namor could easily disrupt these microscopic biosensors, scattering them across the sea and creating blind spots in Krakoa's defenses, which then opens up their vulnerabilities that enemies could then exploit. This makes Namor's newfound alliance with Krakoa not just beneficial, but strategically essential. Namor's cooperation ensures that Krakoa's defensive systems remain intact and fully functional. After the Timestream entanglement rips Krakoa from its original timeline and displaces it into the far future of 2099, many mutant leaders are scattered across time, leaving the Quiet Council diminished to only Emma Frost, Storm, and Magneto. So a meeting is called, with Emma Frost proposing the revival of the extravagant Hellfire Gala to publicly assert Krakoa's strength and relevance despite their time-displaced crisis, as she aims to counteract the negative publicity caused by the Wolverine's involvement with the human resistance against Alchemax. Now, Wolverine's alliance with the human resistance led to saving Captain America, but severely harmed mutant kind's reputation, prompting Alchemax to impose sanctions and lawsuits against Krakoa. Emma Frost, though, strategically counters Alchemax by using Krakoa's miraculous biopharmaceuticals, the flowers of Krakoa, to directly compete with Alchemax, crippling their market dominance and forcing the company to retreat legally and economically. As a result, Alchemax attempted to sabotage Krakoa's shipments, hiring mercenaries through the oppressive police force known as a Public Eye. But Emma Frost personally defends the shipments and acquires blackmail material to neutralize future threats. Now, despite Magneto's hesitations about potential risks of putting on the Hellfire Gala, Emma secures the Council's approval to host the gala by arguing that it will establish critical alliances and visibility to unite the scattered mutants and to bolster Krakoa's security. With 2 thumbs up from Storm and Magneto, they both leave, but Emma Frost stays. Emma Frost privately reassures the sentient island of Krakoa, promising relief from its pain caused by the Timestream entanglement, as Emma Frost hints she is secretly intending to enlist a special doctor to assist Krakoa, a very critical fact that she purposely hid from the proposal of the Hellfire Gala to the rest of the Quiet Council. Emma Frost is preparing to host the Hellfire Gala in the year 2099, reintroducing Krakoa to a world that hasn't seen the island, or a proper party for that matter, in 70 years. Because you have to remember, Timestream entanglement, they were transported to 2099. All throughout that time, There was no Hellfire Gala, there was no Krakoa. But really, for the mutants that were transported to 2099, it's only been a year. They're still doing the Hellfire Gala. But for the rest of the world, they haven't seen this in nearly a century, right? Now, Emma handpicks attendees for the gala, many of whom have recently fought alongside Krakoa, while secretly hoping one guest in particular holds the key to healing Krakoa's chronally damaged ecosystem. Beneath the glamour and the gowns lies a desperate plea for survival. Dr. Victor Von Doom, initially scoffing at Emma Frost's invitation to the Hellfire Gala, begins experimenting with chronovium crystals, and he accidentally witnesses a horrifying future. In this future, Earth has fallen to a machine apocalypse. Humans and mutants are either dead or transformed into techno-organic hybrids, and the architect behind all of this destruction is Ultron. Determined to stop this future from happening, Dr. Doom tries to erase Ultron's timeline by using chronovium. However, thanks to the chaotic effects of the Timestream Entanglement, which Dr. Doom admits was caused by a past version of himself, the timeline is too fractured to do so. Now, if you know anything about Dr. Doom, if there's a will, which he obviously has, there's a way. So, he succeeds in erasing some of Ultron's past. However, Ultron survives and senses the attack. Dr. Doom's own Doombots turn against him, transmitting Ultron's chilling message. And he says, "I am coming home." Realizing he needs more chrono energy to finish his work, Dr. Doom sets his sights on Krakoa, knowing that the island is saturated in time energy from the Timestream Entanglement. Despite his disdain for the godly galas, Dr. Doom chooses to attend the Hellfire Gala, not for celebration, but to harvest what he needs to prepare for Ultron's arrival. It is about time to be honest. Let's be vulnerable for a second, okay? Storm admits that she's not really a fan of the political pageantry of the Hellfire Gala. She doesn't quite get it. It's a little bit too much, though she does understand its importance to the mutant diplomacy around the world. But this perspective shifts a little bit when she meets a variant of King T'Challa, the Black Panther, who arrives through a Krakoan gateway to the Hellfire Gala, but it's not the same man that she once loved in the past. This is a Black Panther, a King T'Challa from the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. And although it's not her T'Challa, it is someone who exudes familiarity and magnetic presence, just like hers did. Now, as the two are at the Hellfire Gala, Storm approaches this alternate T'Challa and asks for help investigating the disappearance of Arakko. Now, if you don't know what Arakko is, let me lay it down for you like this, brother. It is Krakoa's sister nation located on Mars, alright? This entire nation has vanished. So King T'Challa, now the leader of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda like we just established, promises his full support in locating Arakko to the best of their ability and restoring contact with its mutant colonists. Now, when T'Challa agrees, Storm offers to repay his kindness, but T'Challa says he only wishes for the opportunity to atone for his past regrets, sparking the hint of a renewed, or in this case, a brand new, connection between Storm and King T'Challa. The living island of Krakoa once shared a deep connection with its sister nation Arakko, which is another sentient landmass populated by mutants originally joined to Krakoa but later relocated to the planet of Mars. The two colonies peacefully coexisted, even after interplanetary separation, representing two halves of the mutant civilization. However, when the Timestream Entanglement ripped Krakoa into the future, all contact with Arakko was mysteriously lost. Despite Krakoa's vast tech and resources, even the intergalactic empire of Wakanda had been able to pinpoint Arakko's location in the galaxy. This disappearance of Arakko is a growing mystery, and a possible clue to larger cosmic forces at play beyond Ultron and even Doctor Doom. Following a new alliance between Krakoa and the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, the Hellfire Trading Company grants limited access to Krakoan biomatter for scientific study. Under the leadership of Princess Shuri, Wakandan researchers begin exploring non-medicinal uses of the Krakoan flora. The princess is especially intrigued by the chronal energy absorbed by the island during the Timestream entanglement, which caused the birth of the sentient Krakoan seedlings. These seedlings are infused with Chronovium, and they may hold untapped potential for temporal, biological, or even resurrection-related uses. Some Krakoan flowers are capable of creating interspatial portals, and the mutant known as Magik, using her sorcery, has modified one such flower to create a gateway between Wakanda and Limbo, which is of course the dimension that she rules as queen. This Limbo Gate connects the intergalactic empire of Wakanda directly to Magik's realm, allowing for cross-dimensional travel. Now the Black Panther, King T'Challa, now regularly visits Limbo to consult with Magik, and uses her mystical flames to help purify blood Chronovium within his body. Now let's take a pause real quick. If you're unfamiliar, back in the Eternal Nightfall season, Doctor Doom got a drop of blood from Dracula and created blood Chronovium, with the implication being that whoever holds that blood Chronovium becomes immortal. So Magik and T'Challa are over here trying to purify those Chronovium crystals back into just becoming regular Chronovium, because that in and of itself is already dangerous enough. Now, as they're doing this reveals both a deepening bond between Wakanda and Krakoa, and shows that Chronovium's corruptive power is spreading across the worlds, deepening its influence across the timelines. Doreen Green, the Squirrel Girl, Tippy Toe, Rocket Raccoon, and Amazing Baby arrive on Krakoa for the Hellfire Gala, enjoying a break after the vampire crisis in New York City. Now during a stroll, they discover Psylocke mourning her dying lupine companion, also known as Logan, who crossed time and space to reunite with her after being separated by the Collector. Now this wolf companion has a journey that spanned centuries, and although his healing factor kept him alive, he is finally succumbing to his old age. That's where Squirrel Girl proposes using Krakoa's resurrection protocols, which is typically reserved for mutants only, to bring Logan back. Now overseeing this is Emma Frost, who reluctantly agrees to using the protocols, offering them a rare chance if they act quickly. Now, while Emma Frost and Squirrel Girl handle the Cerebro data routing, Rocket Raccoon leads Groot to convince the living island of Krakoa to grow a new body for Logan using the island seedlings, which carry traces of displaced mutants' powers. Now this plan of theirs works. Logan the Wolf is successfully reborn in a younger form just in time for the gala, and Logan joyfully reunites with Psylocke, bringing her a rare moment of peace. Now as the gala begins, Squirrel Girl and Rocket Raccoon notice that they are vastly underdressed for the occasion, as Emma Frost forbids them from going onto the dance floor dressed like that. So the two decide to leave the gala and throw a beach party on Krakoa. But as they leave, techno-organic patterns quietly begin spreading on nearby foliage. What could that mean? During Ultron's invasion of Krakoa, the Wolverine, Magik, Psylocke, and Namor find themselves mid-battle, wounded, underdressed, and overwhelmed. Their formal attire for the Hellfire Gala proves useless against Ultron's drones, prompting Wolverine to lead the team to the Sextant, which is a mutant training zone for young recruits on Krakoa's northern shore. As they arrive, they go into the Alpha House. The group swaps into traditional X-Men combat uniforms, which is a symbolic nod to their roots as the defenders of mutant kind. Reunited in purpose and now looks, the team storms back onto the battlefield, with Magik wielding her soul sword, Psylocke with her katana, Namor with his trident, and of course, Logan, the Wolverine, leading the charge with his adamantium claws. As they begin to fight back, the Wolverine smirks and says, "The classics never go out of style." During Ultron's invasion of Krakoa at the Hellfire Gala, the Wolverine fights alongside Magik, her limbo demons, Namor, and the alternate timeline Psylocke to defend the gates against endless robotic waves. The Wolverine realizes that Ultron has hijacked the Krakoan gateways, granting his forces near limitless access to the island. With Wolverine learning that Magneto has just been killed by Ultron, the Wolverine heads to the armory to improvise a solution. Inside, he finds Rocket Raccoon, Groot, and Amazing Baby. Rocket has a high-powered EMP grenade capable of disabling Ultron. However, it will also shut down all of the tech on Krakoa, including Cerebro and the resurrection protocols. Now, despite the risk, the Wolverine takes the EMP grenade and hunts Ultron through the jungle. He finds Ultron attacking the cradle, attempting to take Cerebro for himself. The Wolverine, one thing you gotta know about this guy, you do not want to play baseball with him as the pitcher. This man hurls the grenade, triggering an explosive EMP that knocks him unconscious and disables most of the tech across Krakoa. But something surprising happens. Ultron is unaffected. His Mysterium Forge body absorbs the charge, and Cerebro also survives thanks to grounding by Krakoan vines. Ultron incinerates Wolverine's body down to the adamantium skeleton. As Logan barely clings to life, his healing factor begins to kick in. He swears to kill Ultron the old-fashioned way, with his claws. Magneto reflects on giving Emma Frost his vote to proceed with the Hellfire Gala, despite his concerns that it might attract unwanted attention. And it does. Because during the Hellfire Gala, Ultron hijacks Krakoa's gateways and invades with a robotic army, having returned to Earth to assimilate it into his cosmic empire. While the various heroes defend the island, Magneto confronts Ultron directly, but he is mortally wounded and dies. Yeah, that's how crazy, that's how strong, that's how much of a threat Ultron is. He has just eliminated Magneto. However, luckily for Magneto, they are on Krakoa, so he is later resurrected through the Krakoan resurrection protocols, returning with a new suit and a whole lot of vengeance. Magneto returns. He says, "You better catch these hands one more time." Magneto battles Ultron again, but is infected with a techno-organic virus delivered via nanobots that suppress his powers and begin converting his body. This man lost to Ultron twice within a matter of minutes. Can you believe it? I know I can. This can't be real. But it is. It is real. And what's even more real is that Ultron then discovers Krakoan's resurrection tech and leaves Magneto behind, heading for Cerebro to seize control of the process and upload his own consciousness. As Magneto is laying there, deeply hurt and injured, right next to a statue of Professor Charles Xavier, Magneto experiences a hallucinated, or, let's be honest, maybe even a possible psychic message from Charles, which gives Magneto the clarity to slow his blood flow using the iron in his blood, halting the virus's spread. Because Magneto questions Charles. He says, "Am I going to die today?" And Charles says, "Not today." Now reinvigorated, Magneto stands up, regains control over his body, and prepares to return to the fight, refusing to let Ultron destroy Xavier's dream or Krakoa's future. Looks this android right in his eyes, right in his beady little eyes, and says, "Not today." Magneto rises on a wave of magnetic force as he yells, "No more, Ultron! Krakoa is a free nation, and you shall not take it from us." As a wave of Ultron's robotic drones closed in on him, Magneto crushed them effortlessly, preparing to end the fight once and for all. And as he's doing this, he says, "Consider this battle!" But before he could finish, Ultron blasted him, a devastating hit that pierced his armor, knocking him down from the sky. As he hits the ground, Captain America rushed to his fallen ally and says, "Hang on, soldier. We didn't both survive World War II only to be taken down by some rusty pile of..." And Captain America froze mid-sentence. He recognized a sign of a fatal wound. Magneto was dying. And as Captain America comes to this realization, Magneto sees his face and says, "Do not fret, Captain. I have died many times before, and this won't be the last." Because you see, what Captain America did not know, and what the world is going to learn soon enough, was that mutants had conquered death. Because originally, Professor Charles Xavier used Cerebro as a tool for locating mutants across the globe. However, over time, it slowly evolved into a database of genetic profiles and memory backups of the mutants. And then after that, on Krakoa, Cerebro eventually was evolved to the point where a group of specialized mutants use that data within Cerebro to create the resurrection protocols. And the protocol has a few steps, which I'll break down for you right now. You start off with creating a new cloned body grown in the hatchery. Then Cerebro restores the memories into that body of the fallen mutant. And the result? Immortality for mutant kind. Now, the steps may be simple, but in reality, it's very complex, and the implication is insane. Immortality? Are you kidding me? Now, of course, the mutants on Krakoa, this is no surprise. They know about the resurrection protocols. But, as we learned earlier, Squirrel Girl knows about the resurrection protocols, and has even used it. And now Captain America is soon going to learn about this. Now, here's the catch. A recent development was that partitions were created in Cerebro so variants of the same person essentially could still be brought back with their own memories in their bodies. But here's the thing. Cerebro is still just a machine. It still does not know who or even what it stores within its own data. So, if someone knew how to format the data correctly, then anything could be resurrected. Mutant, human, or something far worse. It's a secret that both man and mutant alike would learn soon enough, in the most unexpected and frightening way possible. After the X-Men temporarily disabled Ultron during the battle on Krakoa, Ultron hacked into Cerebro's resurrection protocols and resurrected himself using mutant tech. And on top of that, he stole Cerebro and escaped to Arakko on the planet of Mars to resume his campaign for universal domination. Upon learning this information, the Iron Man, Tony Stark, considers various countermeasures. He thinks about controlling Ultron's old body remotely. No, that's not going to work. Then it's just another guy in a suit. What about installing his AI assistant Friday into the shell? No, that's not going to work either, because Ultron might corrupt her. Okay, let's try this one more time. What if we reboot the original Ultron? Yeah, this is insane, but this is the plan. Despite warnings from Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, or the Black Panther, the King of Wakanda, T'Challa, or even Spider-Man Peter Parker, Tony Stark reboots Ultron's original programming, inserting safeguards to make him temporarily loyal, or at least anti-Ultron enough to help the heroes fight his evolved counterpart. And then Tony Stark begins to defend his choice and says, "Until Ultron can figure out how to override the safeguards, he'll be on our side." Mostly. So here's the plan. Let me lay it down for you like this, brother. they are going to use OG Ultron against this new Cerebro Resurrection Protocol powered Ultron. And they're gonna cross their fingers that the Prime Directive conflicts make the old Ultron view the new version of Ultron as a threat, with the goal of letting the new Advanced Ultron, which I guess going forward we could just call him Xtron. We're gonna let Xtron become the problem of the classic Ultron. And not only that, Tony Stark starts to see this as a bonus opportunity too, because maybe the newly rebooted Ultron will also eliminate other threats along the way, such as, that other guy in a metal mask who seemingly is weirdly focused on Krakoa's supply of chronovium. Now this plan is insane. It could backfire in a huge way. And then the result could be everybody on Earth is now enslaved to all of these androids. But we don't really have a better plan, do we? So Tony Stark says, step aside. Tony Stark's got work to do. And that, my rivals, is the story so far here for the Hellfire Gala season of Marvel Rivals. Again, like we said earlier, this is not the finalized version. We still got a couple gallery cards left, but this is a majority of the story. We are really heating some things up as we're getting to the later part of the season with Ultron being introduced as a playable character. And we just learned that we finally have an answer as to how they're going to introduce Ultron, the first actual villain, as a playable character. It's not really the Ultron we're fighting in the season. It's a copy of it. It's the OG Ultron who has been programmed to help the hero. So I think that's very cool. What do you think about that? I think that is a very good reason why we're able to play him while still having Ultron be part of the overarching narrative of the season. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Those help it get out to more people, it helps grow the channel. I, of course, always appreciate that. If you want to support even further, YouTube channel memberships are available. Super thanks on this video are available. And I thank you so much for watching, but you have to remember, even though I thank you for watching, you and I, we are rivals till the end. And it doesn't matter if you fly me up to Mars so I have a free vacation on Morocco. I am never going to forget that.